Hello, everybody. My name is Colson Kaufman, and today we are speaking more on politics and the situation with the entire map here, as you could see in the general election come 2024. I know I didn't make a video on I did not make a video speaking about the Iowa caucus, and that's because I didn't need to. The Iowa caucus was almost guaranteed to be Trump because Trump won the state in 2016. It was taken from him illegitimately in 2020, and there's a lot of reason behind that, and the percentage on why Iowa was taken illegitimately and put into Biden's place was, in most sources, put up to over 60%. And there's a lot of reason to say, but generally speaking, Iowa, big win for Trump. In fact, he won all but one county in all of Iowa. The only one he lost, can't remember the name right now, but lost to Nikki Haley, but it was only by a singular vote. It's like, seriously, a singular vote. That's like pretty close to almost thinking in some ways of how George W. Bush only won Florida by 100 people. It's a really, really small number to win by, but it's still a landslide if you're winning at everything else, which Trump did amazing on. Now, the next state that campaigning on the 23rd that they're voting for in the caucuses is New Hampshire. And New Hampshire does vote more for Nikki Haley. She's definitely done a lot more campaigning there than Donald Trump has. But because Donald Trump did win New Hampshire in 2016, there's already a massive amount of people, especially in more of the older ranges, that are going to vote for Trump to be the caucus. Now, in the caucus itself. Now, to say that he'll win the general election would probably not be true with New Hampshire because Biden is currently leading that state by nearly over 8 points now. And there seems to not be a stop. And that's because a lot of LGBTQ resorts in the eastern states, and New Hampshire contains to be one of those states. And any of the eastern states, like the original states such as Delaware, anyone that is close home near to that besides Pennsylvania is almost guaranteed to be Democratic. No other way of justifying it. Now, in today's video, I do want to talk about what are like the best odds for Donald Trump. Let's say that Joe Biden makes a huge screw up that puts us in the start of World War III. He puts us in, not because as I see it, we are in a recession and we're not yet in a depression. But let's say Joe Biden, next couple of days on, puts us in a widespread depression. Our economy goes 10 times worse for each state more than it already is. And nothing is done right. Everything falls apart, crumbles. What is the best Donald Trump win here? And you're going to be surprised. It's actually pretty hefty. Now, I'm going to start off, of course, with Joe Biden's safe states, and that would be Washington, California. They want to say on some sites that Colorado is almost guaranteed to be a safe state, but over recent polls that I've found, it's not guaranteed because the court case to take Trump off the ballot has never actually came back to being done. So there's no way of providing evidence and no way of proving that Colorado is a safe Democratic state, although many would probably think that, and it's probably true. And the next one for us is New York, as well as most likely, and I'm going to put New Hampshire actually as like a little bit more linear, because after this primary, especially with Vivek Ramaswamy endorsing Donald Trump, it might help him actually get more followers in the general election, but I can't say for certain. The first district in Maine, he's almost guaranteed to win, and then also New Jersey, his home state of Delaware, and Maryland. So that already puts him at a safe 151 electoral points. Now I'll go on to Donald Trump, and it's almost guaranteed that he's going to win the West Coast by big numbers. That includes the 1st Nebraska and 3rd Nebraska district, and most likely, I'm going to put likely, the 2nd Nebraska district, Kansas, Oklahoma. Sorry, I am Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi. Most of the South should be obtained too. This is what I call the South, not really including Texas because it's a new South. So the South right here should be mostly obtained by Donald Trump here, along with Iowa. And I was gonna put I'm gonna put that back. Iowa is almost guaranteed after what we just saw. It almost guaranteed to be a more Republican state here. A lot of sites want to say otherwise, but due to what the caucus says, I almost guarantee it. I'm also going to put Alaska as kind of more linear, but at the same time, most likely to vote for Trump in this case. And also Minnesota. No, wait. This is Minnesota. Missouri, sorry. Missouri, most likely. Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia. And then we start getting to what is kind of most likely here. I almost guarantee in best odds that Trump will win Florida, and in best odds, Trump will win Texas. So we're already looking 201, 151 here. And in most recent polls, Pennsylvania should most likely be a Trump-dominant state. And this is what I call the blue wall. You've probably heard the phrase before, blue wall states. That includes Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania that are known now and have been known for a long time to be very Democratic. But in the 2016, were not Democratic because most of these states were actually had Republican governors, Republican senators, and Republican district attorneys, etc. So for a long time during Trump's presidency, until about 2018, in Michigan especially, there was Republican assets to these states, which made it vital to whoever next Republican candidate, which would be Donald Trump, to win in the 2016 election. And it's seeming it's going to be that way again, even though there are not many Republicans in each state. There are more people, especially in Black and Hispanic voters, who do agree that Biden has caused exponentially so much amount of damage to the earth. Not just the United States one part, but the earth itself and how exchangements between other countries have been. You even see countries like Argentina that don't even want to be involved and say that we're a bunch of socialists, which at this point, under Joseph Biden's campaign, we are turning into complete socialists. And there is no doubt in my mind about that. But with Michigan, I'd say still a lean state, but most likely Republican. And with Wisconsin, I say the same thing. What was once the blue wall will probably turn out to be a blue wall, especially in the counties. If you look at the counties, I don't have them pulled up, and I have been having a hard time trying to find websites that show me directly who's winning in the counties by primaries and also by projections. It's been really hard for me to find a website based on that. I watch a lot of people like Red Eagle Politics and Liberal Hivemind, and I can't find the actual source they use, but it would be great if I could. And the red wall is going to be pretty dominant. I think Joe Biden really did screw up the system in his campaign that I'm almost guaranteed he is not even behind or in control of. In one of Liberal Hivemind's videos, he kind of directly points at how we have given Barack Obama, which, Joe Biden's boss is when he was vice president. Barack Obama's been behind a lot of this stuff, I'd frankly say, because the general population here in terms of Republican voters doesn't want Obama to be running the system, but they know he is running the system because Joe Biden can't find his ass with two hands and a map. But it seems it just seems more and more this way. And so here we have the red wall, what I will officially call it, coming back to all of what is important. This is the red wall. This is how it's going to be because Joe Biden fucked it up. Good job, Joe. And then we get down to Arizona, and Arizona I would almost put pretty close to winning, and I would do the same with Nevada. Arizona and Nevada have proven more in recent times that, yeah, Joe Biden sucks. His way of immigration and allowing immigration to be just allowed in the first place has gone absolutely wild in all the states here, especially my state. There have been more imported. Let me get to you this way. There's 6 million people in my state of Colorado, and so far in 4 years, or yeah, within 3 years of being presidency of Joe Biden, he has put 8 million immigrants into the United States, all of them getting hotels, motels, no jobs, and living free, happy lives, even though they don't know the consensus of what it is to be an American. They don't know the idea of what it is to be a hard worker. They don't know what it is to be what is to be. Whatever you put into what is to be, they don't know how to do it. They don't know how to do it. They're not taught how to do it. They're left to just sit on the street and be homeless. The homeless rate in the West Coast, where I'm at, is insane, especially in Las Vegas, especially in California, where tents, you see tents everywhere. There's more tents from homeless people being immigrated into the United States than there is at a goddamn line for the next iPhone. It's insane. So states like Arizona and Nevada do make sense to be more Republican because the immigration process has increased so much worse than it had in years. The last time immigration was at its worst point advantage like this was probably not really for a long time. I'd say probably at the end of the 80s, maybe the early 90s is when the biggest crisis since then had happened. And even then, before then, there was similar effects during Jimmy Carter's Jimmy Carter. I can't say that Jimmy Carter in his administration imported many immigrants, but I can say that because of the Iranian hostages situation, it definitely didn't make him look like a good role model for president. And it just carries some sort of effect to me. But I do say Nevada and Arizona, most likely more Republican in the best case scenario here. And then I would also put Ohio as most likely Republican. And they've actually, within more recent polls, have started voting more Republican-ish in beliefs. And they also spoke when Colorado was begging on their knees, gobbling for whatever more they can suck. They're sucking dry milk from the teat. My state, unfortunately, Ohio did threaten to say that if Colorado makes it only Joe Biden on the ballot, then why don't we just make it Trump? And that's what many of these states are going to do. If Colorado allows this and the Supreme Court allows this, all these other states are most likely going to do the same thing. And it's going to cause what Vivek Ramaswamy calls a 1776 moment. And it's going to cause a civil war. Because the 1776 moment is a revolution. We're currently in a revolution to make better change. And in order to make better change, a lot of people are going to get hurt. A lot of people probably will die. A lot of people will get to stand up for what is right. And a lot of people are going to stand down for the fact that what they're saying is wrong. It's going to be a horrible process, but in the end, a better candidate is going to be chosen because Joe Biden's obviously not that better candidate. And also in North Carolina, I see almost a guarantee of being more Republican. They have in the past. I guarantee it to be the same now. And Georgia, I could also see a linear, but also at the fact that there is a lot more people in Georgia that are saying, you know what, fuck this. I don't know how the fuck we voted for Joe Biden. We're complete idiots. So let's turn that around. So now we're at a 311, 151, and Joe is just getting destroyed. even in the general election, as pointed out, is that Trump is at 312 to 226, and that is just by what is predicted, not by what is the best odds. So already Joe Biden has zero winning chance. Zero. He's got no ability to win unless Trump says something on Twitter, which in that case will only increase his ability to win and will decrease Joe Biden's ability to win and only increase his ability to lose. And also, I want to talk about this. He'll probably win the first district of Maine, but Joe Biden's almost guaranteed to win Maine. Big whoop, I guess. And also the second district here, one of the smaller second districts, he's almost guaranteed to win as well. Not a big deal. Nebraska still would count as a Republican state, all in the end. But you know. And now we have a couple states left over here. And the first one I'm going to start with is Oregon. Oregon is most likely Democrat, but they've kind of shown in more recent polls that Trump is starting to get a little bit more of a boost, especially in that very West Coast. Now, there's no chance for California. There's no chance for Washington. They're a goner. They're a complete goner. And New Mexico is kind of, I'd say, for best chances in this case, New Mexico is kind of fighting in the same thing in Arizona and Nevada, is that they're kind of getting sick of the fact that we're importing so many people in here and they don't have jobs. Some of them are given good living conditions, but don't have to live with 9-to-5 jobs. And some of these people, and by some I mean a big population of these people, are just homeless and have nothing to do. But we can't send them back because then that's our fault. But we can let them in because that's not our fault, even though we have a wall and a border for a reason to regulate how many people come in each year. But now it's each minute people are coming in instead. And in Colorado, best chances is that, yeah, Joe Biden wins. Who could have figured? Who really could have figured, And then in Virginia, I'd say, it is kind of more lenient. The South is becoming more Republican than it probably ever has, especially for a long time now. But still probably Republican, most likely. And now we get into Illinois. Illinois, most likely Democrat. While there is a lot more people of minorities voting for Trump because they realize that Joe Biden is just a complete racist and a complete idiot in the system, it's still probably not big enough in the districts for Trump to win as of right now. And then I'm also going to put DC as a very safe state because I've never seen a Republican win DC. I don't think it's possible. And I'm going to put Hawaii almost guaranteed safe as well. And that comes down to our last state here, and that is Minnesota. And Minnesota has not been won as a Republican state since 1972 in the Richard Nixon presidential campaign election. And that was a pretty big election. Had he not done the Watergate scandal, he probably would be more favored. But that was the last time Minnesota was a Republican state. Ronald Reagan hasn't won it in his 2 campaigns, even though Ronald Reagan still, to this day in modern history, carries the biggest win in elections in terms of how the states are now all set up. That's not including James Monroe, nor is it including Washington, because those ones were pretty obvious. But Minnesota, currently with Democrats, is only at like 4%, like legitimately only 4%. Minnesota is failing to keep Democrats in order. And that's why I'm putting Donald Trump pretty much like at the lowest lenient. But Trump still has possibility, I believe, in his best approval rating saying that Biden completely screws up. There's something in the system that will screw up. I could see Donald Trump possibly by maybe a couple thousand voters, very scrimmage, like very, very tight brim. He could win Minnesota. He could do it. And there's more states he could actually win. He could possibly win New Mexico. He could possibly win Virginia. There's hell. He could probably win New Hampshire. Depending on how the caucuses are going and what they're going to be on the 23rd when people vote for him. I highly say if you're over the age of 18 or whatever it is now to vote, do it, especially in New Hampshire, because they need it. The Republican primaries need it. Trump needs the win. He's guaranteed the win, but give him a couple extra votes. It really does help. But I say the best case scenario is that Trump gets 10 more points, which is still 10 more than Biden will ever receive, because now we're looking at a 216 and 322. But really, that's all I got about. I'm going to make a part 2 to this for what are the best chances for Biden, which I don't know why I got to make a video like that, but I feel I should make it even. And yeah, that's about it, guys. And of course, I will see you all in the next political video.